So, uh, you know what? Though this show is interesting, I can't say that it's not interesting. The storylines are pretty interesting at this point, but again, the acting is bad. Um, I'm gonna try to just kind of deal and not let that worry me too much. Let's go. Hey guys, thanks so much for clicking on the video. This is my review for The Oval. This is season 1, episode 2. Like I said, there's definitely an issue with the acting on the show. Again, I'm trying to give an allowance and allow these folks, because a lot of them are new. They're not, they're not people that I've actually seen in things prior. A lot of things. So everybody deserves a chance, and everybody deserves a chance to grow and do what it is that they do. But there's definitely an acting issue when it comes to this show, and it does not help with some of the scenes. You listen. We talk all the time about Tyler Perry world versus the real world, and Tyler Perry world is a little out there at times. Bad acting doesn't help with where Tyler's lacking. The bad acting is not helping where you're lacking, Tyler. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that. Anyway, we start right off with Nancy and Ruth are into it about Kylie. And she's trying to, they're basically manhandling Nancy, which I didn't appreciate. They're manhandling her, and they're literally ripping this little girl away from her. And this is what they did. They're cult, and they rolled in. I mean, very cult like, and they took her. They just flat out took her. Threw roof all on the ground, and she ran outside, and it was bad. It was bad. So all of that's going on. What's going on back at the White House. We got the whole the son is being accused of rape, and old drunkard, the little drunk girl, who I find out in this, and her name is Raven, but the staff actually calls her Sparrow. They've already nicknamed her Sparrow. They don't care for her, and they already know she's going to be an issue. I said, wow, wow, that's Sparrow. Anyway, so we got all that going on over there still. And there was definitely some issues. You got to see some classism over there at the White House, and how some people were treated. I was like, wow, that was eye opening. It was really ugly, really, really ugly. But we're gonna talk about it. Um, but let's go over and talk about Lily and Bobby. Baby, they back up in the bathroom, and she's telling him to hold on and stop from banging her out. Her phone rang, and it just disturbed the whole groove. That Bobby is a sexy something, but at any rate, she stops, and her husband basically, Donald's on the phone, and he's basically telling her, he's sorry, and telling her how well the first lady looks in her dress, which I love the dress, and this whole thing, and you know, basically her whole clothes back on. Patty and Bobby ended up switching up on her. He switched up on her, and he became like, because he was so nice before, and he was so, I mean, it was like you couldn't help but throw the little underwear at him. He switched up on her, baby, and he is a mean, nasty prick, honey. And I was like, oh my. And he's like, where you got some money? And I thought at one point he was going to rob her. And she's like, what? So now you're going to rob me? And he's like going through her purse, and she's like, what? And he's like, no, I'm just going to make this so uncomfortable. I have my own money, but I'm going to make this so uncomfortable for you that you won't be so quick to try to want to do this again. I was like, Bobby, you're a sociopath. You got issues, dude. You got some issues going on. And he told her, yeah, you have no idea how much you won't forget this. And she's like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And then he takes his bag and he leaves the bathroom. She told him to get out. He left the bathroom, and then a little bit after that, she hears the announcement that their planes get ready to go. When they get on the plane, he literally is there, like aggravating her, sitting next to her again, and she asked the stewardess to switch her seat. She said, "We got a full flight." She said, "You know what? Just ask if somebody from coach would like to come back and ride first class." And I bet the person that did that probably was like, "Yeah, child." And when they switched out and didn't get it back there and see him, honey, they probably was like, "All right, honey." But he told her, "Listen, he said it was so good. I'll be thinking about you the whole way to DC." I said, "Oh, he turned out to be he gorgeous, but he turned out to be real creepy." I was like, "Okay, cool, no problem." Anyway, so back over at the White House, the first lady and the son and all of them have actually arrived. Now, then remember we were saying last week that we were thinking that the son may be a little light in the loafers, honey. But the son had Secret Service on him. He was like about to have a Me Too moment with some woman that was standing there. He like was groping her butt and stuff. I was like, wait a minute now. He's confusing me. I think he's just a loose cannon in general. So they just keep a detail on him to keep the lawsuits away. So I'm interested to see what more we find out about him. But anyway, they get into the house. They bring him on in. They're hiding everything because at this point, before they even get there, it was going down at the White House, baby. They didn't got them and pulled them apart and took the little guy and the butler's son took his son, Richard, butler Richard, took his son and took him to a room to interrogate him. And here, the head security person is actually his godfather. But Richard was getting very irritated with, like, he's like, wait a minute. You all know my son. You know my son's not capable of this. You know something ain't right here. And he's like, listen, protocol has to be followed. And it's all an issue because remember, he ain't had no business even being there. He don't even have a clearance to be. I mean, he's been cleared by the old administration. He was cleared by the Obamas to be there. They knew who he was, and it was no problem. Michelle and Barack had no problem with him. But this new administration, they don't know him. It's just all of the people in the house know him. You know what I mean? Has known him since he was a child. But none of that stuff is standing up right now because now it's a whole another issue with this little spoiled rotten whore who is claiming that he raped her. She ain't letting it go. So they questioning him and carrying on. Got him off in the room. The president and the first lady show back up. Nobody says anything to them. They just kind of covered it up. They handling it. They send them on over to their rooms and stuff. Well, not long after them being in the room, the president is on the phone. And then he's supposedly talking to some guy. And he tells the guy, okay, and he hangs up the phone. He goes to the bathroom. First lady gets back on the phone and redials out. And here it is. It's the mistress, the lady in the red dress, honey, from the inauguration. And she gets to going back and forth with her, and the woman hangs up on her. First lady calls her back and says, listen, I've met you. I've met you many times. And then she named off all the different places, like 3, 4 different events, large events. And she's like, I met you. And I remember you. I was one of them events. She was actually pregnant. She said, I was pregnant with my youngest child. So she's been banging him forever. Okay, ever. She's about even at the governor's house, she met her and all kind of stuff. I was like, oh my. So she told her, she said, be very careful. I'm the kind of bitch that'll have someone show up at your door. I said, oh, okay. So all of that went on. The president ends up coming back in. The two of them start going back and forth. And he said, who do you think you are? She's like, you know what? You need to not be calling her and disrespecting me and whatever. She said, who do you think? He going to ask her, who do you think you are? She said, I think I am the Ivy League graduate that married the dumb farm boy and then brought him and made him be the president of the United States. And then she starts going on about how she should really be the president, but that the world just ain't ready for that. But she should actually be the president. And she went and threw his phone, and she had thrown his phone in in water. She put it in water. I think she tried to flush it down the toilet. He went and got his phone back, comes back, and he was like, it's waterproof. And he says, let me, he said, you would never be president because people don't like you. Let me tell you some of the things that they say about you. And he starts like going through like tweets and stuff and saying like all this ignorant stuff and these things that people were tweeting her. But one of them that he said that stuck out, when it was like Beauty and the Bitch. I was like, oh, Danny. So they were going back and forth with that. And she told him, I'm going to kill you one day. I said, oh my. So them two, I'm telling you, they on the side. Them two is a whole lot. So anyway, by this time everything's going on. Now Donald and the old special ops are actually there, so they have to tell Donald what's actually going on. They tell him. Donald literally switches up, and like I said, is a classism situation at this point. Now Donald is treating Richard like he is just nobody. Okay. And Donald goes down and interrogates the son. And he tells the story. And he's like, no, I didn't do anything. He tells the story. Then they're saying that the little girl, Raven, will not agree to do a rape kit. So they're like, oh God, so what are we going to do? So he ends up going and getting, he makes the decision to go ahead and tell the president and first lady what's going on. So the president, of course, is like, is he and the boy in custody? This, that, thing, and the other. He's pissed. He wants to know, why is he even there? This, that, that. He's ready to bring hell down upon the White House, okay? The wife is like, I'm going to take care of this. So she puts her robe on and she starts out. She's standing there, and there's a woman standing there with the rape kit. They were saying, definitely, they asked the boy, did he pee? Had he gone to the bathroom? He's like, no. They're like, I need to swab. You need to swab him. They need to swab him and get the DNA and all of this. And I'm like, oh gosh. Now the thing is, remember, right before he went to see, because if he hasn't actually urinated, then there would be semen there because he just had sex with her. But he didn't actually have sex with her. But remember, right before he went to the White House, he had sex with the girlfriend. And I don't know whether he went to the bathroom. He probably did go to the bathroom before, since he had sex with her. But anyway, I was just that just came to mind. But anyhow, nobody knows, because you know how Tyler is. Shit, all this will go away and they won't have swabbed him and you'll never hear no more about it in Tyler Perry world. Anyway, so the mother comes, she says, okay, I'm gonna go in. She says, wait a minute. She goes back into her room, gets a bucket of water, goes back across the hall. The daughter's in there laying in the bed. She goes in there and throws that bucket of water in her face. And then the two of them get to going back and forth. And she's telling her, so did he do it or no? And she's like, he did it. He did it. He did it. And she's like, I'm not having no rape kit. She says, well, let me tell you what's going to happen. And the lady, the one security, that's a woman standing there. She says, either you can hold your legs open and let her do it, or I can go and have her get 3 of the largest male staff members to open your legs while she takes the rape kit on you. Because, see, this is getting ready to go, and it's going to ruin somebody's life. It's going to be all in the media and all of that. So you need to tell me, are you lying or are you telling the truth? He did it. He did it. He did it. Are you lying? She said, um, she said something to her. And she said, he didn't do it. And she grabbed her by her face and said, if you lie again. I said, oh God. Them two. Them two is just a whole mess. So then she ends up leaving out of the room, right? She walks out of the room and she is on her way back to her room and she says, Donald was questioning the first lady. You know, are you sure that this is done? She's like, this is over. Don't bring this up again. This needs not be talked about again. She says, well, are you questioning me? Because he says, are you sure, First Lady? She said, are you questioning me? Don't ever question me again. And for the record, my daughter is a liar. Anything that she says, don't believe her. She went on in her room. I said, So with her and Donald, there's like this little tension there. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. No, ma'am. I said, why do I feel like the first lady is going to be lap rat and Donald at some point? Like, I mean, she's made her position with him very clear of who she is. And that's what she was like, anything that goes on with my daughter, you come directly to me. Don't go to the president. You go directly to me. And don't ever question me. My daughter is a liar. Anything she's saying, I want to know about it. I was like, okay. Anyway, so let's go on back over to Nancy. Nancy's running around driving, calling. She didn't call for the husband. She didn't call for the girlfriend. Gets the girlfriend from work. They go, can't find the little girl, go back, call the police. Police comes. The police tell her, listen, what's going on? They tell them about the cult and all of that. And says, the cops told them there ain't nothing we can actually do. There's been several complaints, but a lot of the complaints of children that they have snatched, they are actually there because the children actually are belong to the parents that are there, and they can't actually do it. They can't look at the actual documents. They can't look at the documents that they got to actually go to court. So they're just useless and they leave. Back over at the White House, Priscilla, which is the Richard's right hand woman, she was like, I knew that little tart was a liar. I knew it was going to be a problem with her, this, that, and the other. So then when the head security comes out, she said, this is bullshit and you know it. Which you remember, the little boy is his godson. And then Donald comes down, and that Donald made me so mad when Donald said to Richard, Richard's like this. He says, I will quit this job, before I do this. And Donald walked in on it and was like, is it really that deep to you? Are you really willing to walk out of here without your job about this? And he's like, I'm just talking about my son, this, that, the other. So he says, where's my son? He says, oh, he's in the room or whatever. And he says, he's free to go. And he's like, okay. And, of course they want like some type of explanation or apology or something. And Donald's like, you're like, nobody's giving you that. Nobody's saying anything. And he's telling Richard, you the best thing you can do is go on and walk on out of here and don't ever mention this again. And said, and tell your son, don't mention this again. This never happened. This, that. It was real cold, and then Richard was like, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, sir, whatever. And he's like trying to go ahead and leave. And he gonna say, Richard. And he's like, yes. He gonna say, you can tell me thank you. I said, what? You were potentially going to ruin his son's life. And now you want him to say thank you to you on your fuck shit. I said, oh, I see, you doing too much. I was so evil with that. I was like, this is a whole classism issue, but whatever. So, let's go back over to Donald's house since Donald think he got it all going on. The wife, she gets home. She goes home. Beautiful house. She gets in the house. And shortly after she's in there, she calls her husband. He says he's on his way home. And the next thing you know, in the door comes old dude walking up. It just walked up in her place, Bobby. And he's like, just forced himself in. He's talking real crazy. I just wanted to, I like you, and I just want to see how you live. She's like, you need to get out of here. He's like walking all around the house, and then he goes upstairs, and he's like, I'm gonna call the police. He said, call him. He on his way upstairs. She goes upstairs behind him. They get in the bedroom. She ends up going over and pulling the gun on him. He's asking her, do you want, he all laying on the bed. They don't even care. She got the gun on him. Gonna say, oh, whatever. He gonna say, you're starting to talk mean to me. I don't like mean. I ain't into that. And he's like, you want to go ahead? You want to go for round two, this, that, and the other? And they going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. She's telling him she got a gun. She know how to use it, on and on and on. And now they're standing in the bedroom. Now, in between the door and her is Bobby. And her husband, Donald, done got home. Donald walks in the room. And as Donald walks in the room, he's like, hey, baby, so forth and so. And she just fires off like 3 shots. Bam, bam, bam. And shoots Bobby. So Bobby's like on the floor. And Bobby's looking at him like, what are you doing in my house? Who are you? What are you doing in my house? And that's kind of where it ended out at with them. Go back over to Richard's house. Richard and the son get there. The mother ends up telling him that Ruth got the baby and took her, and that she's the one who actually gave Ruth access to come in the house. And the little guy, he snapped out. And he's like, how could you do that? You know, this, that thing, and the other. And he's like, damn, mom, dad. And then the father's like, hey, you watch your mouth. I'm like, oh, stop it, child. Just stop it. But anyway, that's basically where it ended out at. And we saw the little young guy go jump in his car and take off, going to go find his daggone daughter. So, sure, we haven't seen or heard the last of that. It's going to be interesting. All right, you all. Again, this acting is so bad though, but we're gonna keep on rolling and see what we can find out here. All right, you guys, I'll talk to y'all later.